Donor Shield is a suite of protections and support. There are 8 different protections. We'll go through each one of them. The first 2 are probably the ones that are top of mind to donors. The first is reimbursement for lost wages. We'll reimburse up to 4 weeks of lost wages for up to $1,500 a week with no income restrictions. Any donor can apply it and be reimbursed. The second one is travel and lodging reimbursement. So we reimburse generally hotel, mileage, stuff like that, up to $2,000. And what we have been doing recently is encouraging people to, instead of fly to a distant city to donate at a center near your home so you don't have to stay in a hotel for a week after you donate your kidney. So what we're doing is we've got a remote donation program where if you have a friend or a loved one that lives in a distant city, you can donate here and we'll ship that kidney to the distant city. Or better yet, you'll donate through the voucher program. We'll find the best match for your kidney and we'll pass the voucher to your friend or loved one who will then redeem the voucher and we'll get a kidney, a well-matched kidney for them. The next 2 are the insurance products, life insurance and disability insurance. Now, life insurance, it's a $500,000 principal amount. You get it automatically if you're covered by Donor Shield. And thankfully, we've never had a case, right? We're at 4,000 or 5,000 transplants now, and we hope we never have a life insurance case. The disability, we've had just very few. The disability policy covers I think it's up to $1,500 a week for 52 weeks. If you have a complication, you can't go right back to work. Like I said, we've had very few of those. I think maybe only 2. Then we have a protection that it's called, we give coverage for uncovered complications. What does that mean? So let's say you donate and your kidney goes to California. And then 6 months later, because you donated, you end up with a hernia. That's one of the complications we see. It's very rare, but it happens. But the patient that received your kidney in California had private insurance, and the private insurance company cut a deal with the hospital to limit coverage for complications after 90 days. Well, now you don't have, you the donor don't have coverage. And so you'll probably go to your own insurance, but we don't think that's right. We think that the donor should be completely taken care of. And this came about because we actually had a case. It was a non-directed donor out of Colorado, donated their kidney. 3 months later, they had a hernia, and the hospital in Colorado wanted to bill the donor $25,000 for a hernia. First of all, that's way too much, right? You know, it should be like $5,000. We stepped in, we said, whatever, we're taking care of this. We're not going to let that donor, you know, get kind of hit with this big medical bill because the recipient center made a deal with the insurance company that limited the donor complication coverage to only 30 days, right? So that's a pretty tight window. And so we went to work way back then. We took care of the situation. That donor we paid for actually turns out the patient at the recipient center had Medicare as secondary coverage, and that covered it. But we had to dig for a while to even find that, but we would have taken care of the donor. So we put a program in place called Coverage for Uncovered Complications. We charged a small fee to transplant centers who had patients with private insurance, because that's where the problem, Medicare does a great job. It's the private insurance that have these termination dates for coverage. So we now have, I think the last time I looked, $1.2 million in an account for donor complications. We pay out claims routinely, and it's now a network-wide thing. So no donor is put in a position where they have to, find money to pay for a complication after the fact. I think that's a very important protection, one that doesn't get a lot of attention. So that's number 5. Number 6 is legal support. So we have an attorney on retainer. And we did that originally because we were concerned that donors might lose their health insurance once they donated. Amazingly, after 4,000, 5,000 donations, we haven't seen one case where the donors lost their health insurance. Very rare. In fact, we don't even know if it's ever happened. However, we have seen donors fired from their jobs because they legally took time off to donate, and the employer didn't appreciate that. In our first case, we've had two cases now. Again, very rare because most employers are sympathetic and very supportive to donation. But we brought our lawyer in and we filed suit and we won. The lawyer did not want to take on this battle because it's a bad look for the lawyer, and there's no way they're going to win. So we step in when a donor needs some protection from, we'll call it unlawful termination, and it's also there for anything else that may come up. But those are the two that we've thought about. The next protection is lost wage reimbursement and travel and lodging reimbursement for complications, right?
Right.
Because you get a hernia 6 months later or 3 months later, you're out of work for, let's say you're out for 2 weeks. Well, we don't want you to be hit with that. And so if somebody has a complication, we're protecting them, first of all, for the medical procedure if the insurance company is not doing the right thing. And then second of all, we're covering their lost wage and also their travel and any lodging. We had a case, I remember it was a couple of years ago, it was the first case. This is how we start with these protections. We have a center who calls or a donor who calls and said, look, this is my problem. This donor was, I think, a school teacher, and she had some complications. They went away, but she had to take some time off work. And, you know, she actually didn't want to be reimbursed. We found out about this case and we said, well, you got to be reimbursed. You know, she wasn't looking to be reimbursed, but it's just wrong. You know, if a donor donates a kidney and then they have complications later, they shouldn't have to, you know, carry the burden of lost wages, or in this case, travel and lodging. So that case started this protection. And then I think that's protection 7. And then the 8th protection is one that hit me personally after I donated. I went out to acquire some more life insurance, and I had bought a term life insurance policy before donation, so I had a pretty recent kind of price comparison. And then when I went out to buy it, you know, to up it later on, the price doubled. It's like, wait a second, you're penalizing me because I'm a living donor, and that's a fact. And the person who I was dealing with, they had shopped the plan to, I don't know, 6 or 7 national insurance companies. And it comes down to where they set the creatinine cutoff, right? So they were setting the creatinine cutoff, I don't know, maybe at 1 or 1.2, something like that. Well, you and I both have creatinines over 1.0. But good news is one of the national insurance companies, a big player, reconnected with us. And you know, this is like a year later, and they have upped their cutoff so that kidney donors can qualify for preferred rates. And so if that works out, we're going to probably connect any donor, you know, from our website into this capability to get this insurance. Now, there's also, I think, a dozen states around the country who have outlawed price discrimination against living donors. And so we're also keeping an eye on that, putting that on the website so that donors are fully informed about life insurance. Life insurance is a problem, and I think we have a solution now.